We bring you greetings from the All-Liberian Party. Firstly, we want to use this opportunity to congratulate Honorable Alexander Benedict Cummings for his stewardship of the collaboration over the past 8 months. Mr. Cummings, we at the All-Liberian Party want to seize this opportunity to congratulate you for what we believe was a job well done. And people, it's very difficult to control 4 political parties. All having ambition, all wanting positions, and all with diversity of views. And we want to use this occasion not only to congratulate you, Mr. Cummings, but to recognize your style of leadership, always calm and collected. Even when you are being attacked, you still exhibit that. So we want to congratulate you. We bring you greetings from the All-Liberian Party. Firstly, we want to use this opportunity to congratulate Honorable Alexander Benedict Cummings for his stewardship of the collaboration over the past 8 months. Mr. Cummings, we at the All Liberian Party want to seize this opportunity to congratulate you for what we believe was a job well done. And people, it's very difficult to control 4 political parties, all having ambition, all wanting positions, and all with diversity of views. And we want to use this occasion not only to congratulate you, Mr. Cummings, but to recognize your style of leadership, always calm and collected. Even when you are being attacked, you still exhibit that. So we want to congratulate you.
Look, we signed a framework document. May 19th, the framework document was signed. Copies of that document should have been forwarded to each political party. Because there were 5 copies we signed. One for each political party and one to be taken to NEC. As of today's date, we have not received our copies of the framework document. I was informed by somebody in NEC.
All of my sources in this whole process. It's a funny television show that people go on and make all kinds of remarks about people. And
I was informed by somebody in NEC that the document that was submitted to NEC was a photocopy of a...
I turned on my television one evening and I heard people quoting things from the framework document that nobody would be able to leave. And even if you leave, you will not be able to fuel a candidate into the elections.
I was informed by somebody in NEC that the document that was submitted to NEC was a photocopy of...
Then that morning, I called my chairman and I told him I wanted a copy of all the framework documents that he had.
As of today's date, we have not received our copies of the framework document.
He immediately forwarded them to me. I called Liberty Party's vice chair. I wanted his copy of all the framework documents, that he had in his possession.
As of today's date, we have not received our copies of the framework document.
And both of them, forwarded those documents to me. I went through the documents and I said, wow, this is serious.
Because the lawyers did do an amendment of the framework document, and they did it under our advice and consent. The amended copy, we have copies of. As of today's date, we have not received our copies of the framework document. It still wasn't a document that was filed into NEC. make this crystal clear to you. We did sign a framework document. 4 political parties signed a framework document. And under his leadership, he convinced us that there was a need to have lawyers look at the document and put it in legal perspective. We agreed. So the process began. The last we heard of it is we had a meeting at Liberty Party's headquarters. And the lawyers all showed up. Most of them showed up. And they brought to our attention all the major changes they made in the framework document, and they explained why. And we all concurred. Because the lawyers did do an amendment of the framework document, and they did it under our advice and consent. The amended copy, we have copies of. Now it was left for them, for the chairman and the executive committee who are working on this document to have gone back and compiled the document. After compilation of the document should have been brought back to each political party. And the political party executive committee we have met and approve or disapprove of the document. In the instance where all the executive committee approve of it, then the political leaders would have signed the document and the amended document and take it to the next. That didn't happen. Because the lawyers did do an amendment of the framework document, and they did it under our advice and consent. The amended copy, we have copies of. And we must work together to ensure that we don't disappoint the Liberian people.
The document itself carries May 19. The document coming submitted now, the type of the document, the date on the document is May 19. They post on the original document on what? April 25th. The document coming selling May 19 on the document.
May 19, the framework document was signed.
The document itself carries May 19th, while the notarized page carries 2 different dates, and the confirmation of receipt by NEC has a date that is different from the submission date. The document itself carries May 19. The document coming submitted now, the type of the document, the date on the document is May 19. They post on the original document on what? April 25th. The document coming selling May 19 on the document.
May 19, the framework document was signed.
The day you turned over was the day the document was signed.
They post on the original document on what? April 25th. The document coming selling May 19 on the document.
May 19, the framework document was signed.
The day you turned over was the day the document was signed. So you could have known, by all means, you of all people should have known if such a provision was in that agreement saying that nobody can pull out, and if you pull out, you can't feel the candidate in your own party's name.
Yeah.
You would have known. But then
Definitely.
all of a sudden, you're sitting out there and you're hearing people discussing this thing on some show that nobody can take. The thing is an ironclad agreement. You're in it forever. And then you get alarmed. And then you send for the copies, and then you realize this was the case. What then did you do?
They were
Informed by somebody in there that the document that was submitted to NEC was a photocopy.
Then I called next. And the question I asked is, do you have an original copy of the framework document? And I was informed, no.
I was informed by somebody in there that the document that was submitted to NEC was a photocopy of a
The right to remain in any gathering, organization, or whatever it is a right given to you as a Liberian by the Constitution. And nobody can take that away. No one
You can
can
leave
force
whenever
you
you
to
want to leave.
Yeah. They can't force you to leave.
That's the Constitution.
You've been referenced as one of the souls of people who actually killed that vision. What is your response?
It is true. That was my vision. From the very onset, when the CPP was established, was created.
It is clear that the CPP has crashed, has crumbled. In the middle of a fight against your most powerful opponent, you guys are shooting yourself. It's one thing to go your separate way. So it looked like not only a self-destructive impulse, but it looked like people look like they are paid to help the ruling party to succeed. They're fighting the strongest guy, the weakest guy. Let's destroy everybody before we meet our opponent. But here's my question to you, Costa. You ask yourself the question. In this crisis, there are people who represent the problem, represent the solution. There are many people who think that you represent a problem in CPP, and that the extremists on both sides, on all sides, the four major sides, hijack the process, and the moderate will step back and say the extremists now have the largest voice. Their voices are drawn out other moderate voices, so that you, they represent you. You say you don't have influence. Influence has transatlantic effect. You can influence millions of miles. So people believe that Costa was a major player hijacking the process. His voice is a bigger voice that drawn out other voices, and you shift the things. And to that extent now, is there a sense of regret that, oh, maybe I should not have been as extreme as I was? Maybe I should have been more moderate. Maybe I should look at the future of CPP than a Costa subduing potential opponent who stand in the way. What is the argument? What would you respond?
Again, we're politicians. We're not in a nunnery or a monastery. Politics is ruthless. You know, it's a ruthless competition of ideas and interests. And so when you are in politics, Stanton, you use everything you've got to submit or to subdue your opponent. If it is a powerful voice, you use it to drive your narrative and your agenda. But here is the thing. I did nothing beyond saying what I felt was right. For a long time, you never heard me making noise. But when they infighting, all I did was to defend and promote my candidate. Did I say some some serious stuff? Of course I did.
So, H, let me ask you a question now. Why should the Liberian people trust the new arrangement? Why should the Liberian people build their hope again after you guys broke their heart? Why?
Stanton, let me tell you something. This is politics. The people who support us still support us.
But trust you. The new arrangement with which group?
The UP is going to leave. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
That, but they are going to leave. Some of us will push to ensure that on the onset of the formation of this new political arrangement, it is made unambiguously clear that Joseph Human Boakai will be our candidate for president. At the very beginning, Stanton. If you like it, you join us. You don't like it, you don't join us.
So Joe Boakai did not condemn tribalism because Joe Boakai is a sadistic, unrepentant, unapologetic, tribalistic old man. That is what Joe Boakai is, and that is the only thing Joe Boakai knows how to do because he exploits tribalism. So, well, I say, I guess.
Not going to change. Joe Boakai has no fresh ideas. Joe Boakai is not able to run this country. He's a dead man walking. He's a dead man walking, and I cannot support a dead man walking.
If you have presidential aspiration, you're going to have to wait. But Joe Boakai, it will be stated very clearly at the very beginning before you join us. And it will be stated in our manifesto or our arrangement, our framework document. It will be stated clearly that he is the candidate. And so the position for standard bearership would be already occupied from the.
So Joe Boakai did not condemn tribalism because Joe Boakai is a sadistic, unrepentant, unapologetic, tribalistic old man. That is what Joe Boakai is, and that is the only thing Joe Boakai knows how to do because he exploits tribalism. So, well, I say, I guess.
Not going to change. Joe Boakai has no fresh ideas. Joe Boakai is not able to run this country. He's a dead man walking. He's a dead man walking, and I cannot support a dead man walking.
In the midst of all this confusion, in the midst of this implosion, how has it been silent, and what does that say?
The case of the ALP is no longer a CPP case. Benana Ure and his party, our party, has pulled out, gentlemen. It is not Joe Boakai's. Joe Boakai has no fish to fry in this oil standard.
Your party didn't pull out of the CPP. There is nothing written that you guys have left the CPP. Your party made a request to leave through your chairman. Am I correct?
No, you are wrong.
Show me something that you left the CPP.
Stanton.
Yeah.
Our party has pulled out. We left. The CPP, like every marriage or union or arrangement, falls under the jurisdiction of the Liberian Constitution, which allows you to freely associate and freely.
What do you have to show to the Liberian people that
we
you
have
left the CPP?
We have left the CPP, and we are communicating with the National Elections Commission to inform them officially that we have left.
So you put in a request to leave. That's the press release.
You don't put in a request, Stanton. You're using the wrong diction.
Do you know? I can read that. No. Ish. I can read your letter to you. Your letter from your party instructing your chairman
to leave. Nope. We did not make a request to leave.
The last press statement that we received from ALP, you instructed your chairman that he should withdraw ALP from CPP.
And where the decision and the vote was taken, to pull out. Then the executive committee communicated with the national chairman of our party to inform me to initiate the proceedings to pull us out. Who then writes the NEC to say our party is withdrawing from the CPP. So that is
what's the letter to the NEC? What's the letter to the NEC? Once again, do you have anything written to Joseph Yeman Barker as chairman for CPP or the National Election Commission to tell us today that you are out of CPP? To show to the Liberians today that you are out of CPP?
Yes.
Are you saying therefore that Barker can go alone towards WIA and win by himself?
We're not going alone. We're forming a team.
Okay. So, Costa, I'm going to take a detour and then come back to our path. Are you still going to run for Muswellado County's senatorial seat in 2023?
I'm not focused on that right now, and I will not speak to that right now. I have not decided.
Because what I see is the confidence with which you used to talk about it. That confidence has diminished. You think it's going to be an uphill battle? It's going to be a difficult fight?
My confidence has not shaken by 1 inch. It has not diminished. All I'm doing right now is because the Barker camp depends on me heavily to propagate the message, and I'm focused more on the presidency than on my own bid. If I were to redirect my focus to my own bid for senator, at this point, it would undermine the real big picture, which is taking the executive mansion and helping to make Joe Barker president. So I'm focused on that now as opposed to my own political interest.
Second question is, obviously, for any contender or potential contender against you in 2023, who says since Joseph Barker, issues will be as significant as time inches closer, it means that he's not going to run, and they will be right. They will be in the right mind because you're going to be as significant to Barker campaign from now to 2023. And the more when that moment inches closer, it means that you're not going to run. So the takeaway is, I'm not going to run because I'm going to focus on Joseph Barker. Or I'm not going to run. I did not say that.
It's because the Barker camp depends on me heavily to propagate the message, and I'm focused more on the presidency. It's because the Barker camp depends on me heavily to propagate the message, and I'm focused more on the presidency. It's because the Barker camp depends on me heavily to propagate the message, and I'm focused more on the presidency than on my own bid. If I were to redirect my focus to my own bid for senator, at this point, it would undermine the real big picture, which is taking the executive mansion and helping to make Joe Barker president. So, but I have not made I have decided at this point right now, I'm waiting. But Stanton, let me break another thing to you. And I'm an insider. I'm very Stanton. Let me break another thing to you. And I'm an insider. I'm very close with Joe Barker. I'm one of his confidants, and he calls me that. I'm not the one who calls myself that. I will tell you this. And because I'm a confidant, there are many things he tells me that I cannot say yet. But I'll say this to you. And there are many things he tells me that I cannot say yet. But I'll say this to you. There was a time. If Alice Cummings had accepted to say, look, Joe, you're my older brother. I've known you for many years. I've got lots of respect for you. You ran, you came second place with 500,000 votes. I came in fifth place with 112,000 votes. You've been in this thing for 25 years. I just came in 2016. I have money. You don't have money, but you got the people. And I'm just coming. Let's pair up together and form one ticket and run together. You win this thing, you serve one term, you know you're much older than I am. You do one term, I'm younger, I can take over and I can continue. If you decide to enter politics today, you think just because of your money, you should trump the other people who've been around much longer than you, more popular than you, who have a team more political gravitas than you. Reverend Martin, you think that's the way it works in any sector? Seniority counts. You can come and tell the man who's been around for 25 years, who got 500,000 votes, and you got 100,000 votes, and you tell him to abandon his ambition for you, because the only thing you bring to the table, you have money. So there was a time, if they had that understanding, if Cummings had made that proposition to Joe Walker, they would have a ticket. And not even Henry Costa could do anything about that, Reverend Martin. Not even Henry Costa could dare act stupid to criticize Joe Walker or to attack such a ticket. That ticket would have been able to beat George Weah first round.
Process what you say is a level playing field. That you are basically saying the process is rigged in favor of one person. Why would Cummings go to a process? He declared he wants to be president and then say, I want to be vice president. You said there was a framework process where you go through first you go through the consensus by the political leaders, you go through a VPS and go through a primary convention. Why would you invite somebody to a level playing field into a process that's supposed to be free and fair, and you tell them to relinquish their ambition for you? So it means that you should have, go back to you. So you basically you went to a process that were not honest. You basically wanted this guy to say, okay, at the end of the day, I'll be vice president. The other person. So what I'm trying to say is that your argument is chronically flawed, because what it says to me is that it was not an honest process. It's what you were thinking, but you decided to say we're going to fake and pretend they're going to be a level playing field, and then we're going to have a coronation. There's not going to be a competition. We're just going to have a coronation and crown one person king and crown the other person as a messenger.
Let me ask you a question, Katama.
Right.
And Katama, my brother, Katama. Listen, gentlemen, let's be realistic. This is life. I mean, let's be realistic. This is life. You look at a man who got 500,000 votes, who got greater name recognition than you, and look at you.
Should have told him.
Listen.
Of course, I want. You should have told him in the beginning.
We don't need to tell you.
Hold on 1 minute. Hold on 1 minute.
You want me to answer? You want to answer the question, guys?
Yeah, answer the question.
They made a mistake.
Okay, that's
fair. From the very onset made a mistake.
Okay,
so even say that the man who came second place should be considered equal with the man who came fifth place or sixth place, it was a blunder.
I mean, ALP is out. Then why ALP is suing Cummings? There are other CPP. Let it go.
We don't need to be in CPP to sue Cummings. Cummings took the signature page from the first agreement they signed on May 19th.
It's all CPP now.
They put signed the original document on what? April 25th. The document Cummings signing May 19th on the document.
Cummings took the signature page from the first agreement they signed on May 19th.
It's all CPP now.
May 19th, the framework document was signed.
The document itself carries May 19th, while the notarized page carries two different dates, and the confirmation of receipt by NEC has a date that is different from the submission date. The document itself carries May 19th. The document coming submitted, the type of the document, the date on the document is May 19.
We're not suing for alterations.
But so your lawsuit is not talking about forgery on the signature page.
No, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about alterations. Stand up. You haven't read
No. That go back to the rate of arrest.
Our lawsuit is talking about the forgery. It's not talking about
your lawsuit is talking about the exit clause. Serena Seaforth included something that is so wrong on the rate of arrest. They are talking about the exit clause.
Lawyer.
Katama brought something important out. He said there was a weasel in terms of how you guys started. Look at how this suit has popularized Cummings in the eyes of many.
Popularized Cummings. Cummings was sort of sit down there like Henry Costa. There are pictures of Costa in handcuffs. Pictures of Henry Costa sitting on a prisoner bench. There are pictures of Henry Costa going to prison.
Is that what you want from Cummings?
Chicken necro for day.
The oldest republic in Africa. And yet, we're one of the least developed countries on the continent, and indeed one of the least developed countries in the world. And I say to you, my fellow Liberians, we deserve a better Liberia. We need to ask ourselves some fundamental questions. Why are we where we are? Most Liberian homes don't have electricity. Most Liberian homes don't have running water. Most Liberians are unemployed. These are things we can change. These are things we should demand of ourselves and of our leaders. We, as Liberians, cannot keep doing the same things and expect different results. We cannot keep electing and selecting the same kinds of leaders with the same kinds of experiences and expect Liberia to change. We have to do many things differently, and that starts with selecting and electing new leaders who know how to create jobs, who know how to grow the economy, who will prioritize the Liberian people first before they prioritize themselves. And this is what I offer you, the Liberian people. The other universal truth that I want to share with you, my fellow Liberians, is the best predictor of future performance and future behavior is past performance and past behavior. And again, I ask you to look at my record of job creation, of success, of managing large budgets without one penny going missing. All of these things you can look at and compare to the other candidates. And again, you will see that my past performance and past behavior is a good predictor, a good indicator that what I commit to, we will deliver. There are 5 priorities we have, and we call that the what's. And then there are 5 things we call the how we'll do it. And those priorities are as follows. Our first priority is infrastructure. Simply put, is electricity, it's roads, it's water, and it's internet and cell phone connectivity across Liberia. We have to invest in infrastructure. That is the top priority. That's the basis on which we can and will do everything else. The second priority for us is job creation. There are too many unemployed, unemployed, and unemployable Liberians. The unemployment rate is over 85%. And therefore, job creation is our next priority, creating jobs for the Liberian people. The next priority is agriculture. We are a country that do not fear ourselves. These are things we can do for ourselves. We should be producing rice to feed ourselves. And my commitment is that by the end of my first term in office, we will be self-sufficient in rice production. And within education, we are focused on vocational training, teachers training, and adult education. But we have to educate our young people because, again, that's how we can help them create jobs. That's how we can train farmers. And so these things are all linked together. And our final priority in terms of the what's is health. Because you can have good infrastructure, you can have a good job, you can feed yourself, you can have great education, but if you don't have your health, it doesn't matter. And so health is our fifth priority, and there we're focused on primary health care and preventive health care. So those are the what's we'll do for our people, for the Liberian people. How are we going to do these things? The first how is we want to engage Liberians differently in the transformation of our country. We call this hearts and minds. How do we get all Liberians to participate in the changes that are required? We're going to use arts and music and culture and reconciliation and religion. All of these things, we will be deliberate in using these things to engage us as a people in this transformation process. And so we're doing some work on how we can make those things happen. The next how is that we're going to find the money. We have to find the resources, the money, to do all of the what's I mentioned earlier. And the way we'll find the money is first we'll go after waste in government. You know, we spend a lot of money on things that we don't need, or we pay too much for things that we do need. So for example, I believe the vehicles we buy for our government officials, we spend too much money on that. We should reduce the number of vehicles, and we should buy less expensive vehicles for our government officials. We need to reduce how much they make so we can pay teachers and civil servants and police officers and the military officers and healthcare workers, people who actually do the work. We need to pay them more money and reduce the gap between those at the top and those who actually do the work. The other way we'll find the money is going after this thing called corruption. You know, corruption has been the bane of our country, is the primary reason why we are as underdeveloped as we are today. And we will aggressively go after corruption. The first thing we'll do is we will appoint a corruption czar, a minister in charge of corruption in the presidency that will coordinate all of the agencies that are meant to find corrupt officials. Secondly, thing we'll do is we'll make sure we are giving the resources, the money, the right people, the right logistics to the anti-corruption agencies, the LACC, Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission, the General Accounting Office, the Public Procurement and Concessions Commission. We will make sure they got the right resources to go after corrupt officials. After that, when we find people who are corrupt, we will prosecute them, we will put them in jail, and we'll seize their assets. It will not be good enough for you just to resign. Okay. So those are the things we will do to really go after corruption. I have committed that I will not take a salary. The salary that is paid the president, I will allocate it towards helping to fight corruption. That's how important I think it is to us. And then the other way we'll find the money is we'll make sure we're getting full value, the full monies we're due from our natural resources. We'll look to exploit other natural resources so we can get the funds required to fund healthcare, to fund infrastructure, to create jobs, etc., etc. So finding the money is the second how. The next how is we want to create a government of inclusion. We want all sections of our country to be represented in the government. We want opposition political parties to be in government. Because we believe that having a government inclusion will help all of us make the right decisions. It will make sure that we're spreading the resources of our country across the entire country. And then the last two hows, one is growing the private sector. We will focus on growing the private sector so Liberians can primarily benefit from that growth. No longer should Liberian business people be spectators to our economy. And we want to actively support Liberianization and encourage and provide credit and other facilities to Liberian businesses so they can participate. And last but not least, we will use technology. We'll leverage technology to help us achieve our goals. So those are the what's and the how's. But let me end by leaving you again with these two universal truths. One is we cannot keep doing the same things, my people, and expect different results. We cannot keep electing the same people with the same experiences and expect Liberia to change. We need to elect and select different people to lead us, to serve us, to help us manage and run our country. And the other universal truth is the best predictor of future performance and future behavior is past performance and past behavior. And on those two counts, I believe I stand head and shoulders above the other candidates aspiring Together, we will change Liberia for the benefit of all Liberians. We will transform our country. We will give us a new start, a fresh start, so that all of us can benefit from this country we love. I thank you. God bless you. God bless the Republic of Liberia.
Chicken crow for day.
Not in the business, you catching fever. Getting serious like anti-river. Ain't no stopping by the river. And as we coming, we're sweeping, we're cutting, we're moving all the way. We coming, as we coming, we're sweeping, we coming. Anywhere we meet up, stick. We're coming.